What up, everybody? It is Friday Q&A day. It is January 30th, 2026. Applications, if you're applying soon, are coming. They are starting so soon. I'm excited to be here to answer any of your questions. So let me have them. What's going on with you all today? What's going on in your life? Where are you at? For those in med school, you're coming down to the wire with your residency applications. So much going on. For those in the current application cycle, I hope it's going well. I know it's a stressful time right now. We've been fielding a lot of calls from students and parents saying, hey, my kid hasn't gotten into school. No interviews, no nothing. I haven't done anything, but I have a 520 MCAT score and a 3.8 GPA. So just, lots of confusion and worry out there just about this crazy process. So let me know what's going on. How are y'all doing? Oh, man. Oh, so much going on. I was supposed to have a interview yesterday with the dean of admissions. I was hoping to get some questions answered in terms of what's going on in the kind of med school world with the new loan issues and stuff like that. But unfortunately, didn't record a podcast. Talk to my friend, the dean of admissions, for about an hour, but didn't actually record a podcast. Daughter applied a little late, is on 4 waitlist. Thoughts on prepping for next cycle, or good chance one of those will come through? I'm of the mindset that as soon as you submit your application, you already should be thinking about that next application. Just because, right? I think too many people submit the application, and I understand why, right? It's a stressful process. You're like, okay, like I don't want to think about this anymore, but you need to, because what if you don't get in? Now all of a sudden you're playing catch up and trying to figure out, well, what went wrong with my application? Is it just because I applied late, and if I apply earlier next time, I'll be fine? Is it because I lack clinical experience? Is it because of my MCAT? Is it because of my grades? Should I be taking classes right now during the cycle? Should I be preparing for another MCAT? God forbid. Should I be getting more clinical? Yes, is always that answer, right? So always questioning, where am I? Where do I think I need to be based on the general consensus or my advisor or whatever that might look like? And always be working on that. Too many people submit the application and go, okay, I'm done. I'm done. That's it. I was looking at an application the other day, and the application, the end dates for 99% of, I think it was like 14 out of the 15 excuse me, 14 of the 15 activities, the end date was the submission date, right? The month. And so the snapshot of that application makes it look like the student's not doing anything. Okay, I'm done. I submitted my application. Now I can finally rest. Like, no, you can't, unfortunately. This is not the place to rest. All right. So yeah, come ask your questions. Type them up. Let me know what's going on. I'd love to answer them. So I think that answered the question. Should you be preparing on another cycle? Yes, you should always be preparing for another cycle. And yes, let's keep hope that you get off of one of these 4 wait lists. So 2 things are happening at once. You're figuring out, are there any updates I can send to the schools? Do the schools accept updates? Should I send a letter of intent to one of them? What's going on over there? And what do I need to be doing to prepare for the next application cycle? It's right? What popped into my head right now was just like, it's just like driving, right? You're constantly driving and you're like, okay, I'm going straight. But if there's a car behind me that's coming up fast, what do I do? If there's a car next to me that starts to swerve, what do I do? You're constantly figuring out all of these different scenarios in your head. And that's the same thing for this medical school application process. Oh, man. What's going on, my friends? Come ask your questions. For those who don't know, I'm Ryan Gray, founder of Medical School Headquarters, author of the Premed Playbook series. I have several books that look like that, different colors, different parts of the application process. I have a new book coming out eventually soon. That's in the editing phase right now. I should reach out to my guy for parents of pre-meds. Yeah, here to answer your questions. Hey, Dr. Gray. Sorry for the coughing. I've been battling this post-viral cough for, I don't know, it seems like going on almost 2 months now. I have a common theme of serving relatively underserved populations. Should I follow up on this or try to add research experience to supplement a potential weakness? By the way, go Gators. Go Gators. Yeah, here's my thoughts. Anytime a student comes to me, I'm not throwing shade on you, but just in general, right? Anytime a student comes and says, "Here is my theme," I want to smack them in the face. No shade on you. I would never smack a fellow Gator. Um, it's one of those things that it's commonly talked about by the influencers, right? And obviously, I'm unfortunately grouped into that, having a small presence online where I get to talk to you all and help you all. But I hate the conversation around having a theme in the application. The theme is you. You are the theme. Who are you? What did you do? Not, hey, I need to have this theme of serving relatively underserved populations. First of all, what is relatively underserved? I don't think no school on their mission website on their website says we aim to serve the relatively underserved. Like, where's that on the spectrum of underserved and not underserved? So that's a little strange right off the bat. But number two, it's not a theme. It's just what you've been doing. And you may be interested in it, or maybe you thought that's what you should be doing because that's what Reddit said you needed to do, is go serve the underserved because that's what you have to have on your application. So when you talk to we got an old person in the chat typing in all caps. They're yelling at us. When you have your activities and you on AMCAS, put your 15 activities in there. You don't have to craft them as a theme. At the end of the day, it's just who you are. What have you been doing with your time? Don't worry about the theme and the theme fitting what medical schools want. So, should you try to add research to supplement a potential weakness? Well, first of all, I know nothing about your application. Do you think you have a weakness with research? I would almost never tell anyone they have a weakness with research. All right? So, yeah, I don't know is the answer. Should you try to add research experience to supplement your potential weakness? If you think you have a weakness there, go ahead. Again, I would never tell anyone their weakness is research unless they were applying MD, DO, PhD, in which case I had a conversation with a student the other day who's thinking about applying MD, PhD, and they have like 700 hours of research. I'm like, most of those competitive candidates are in the 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 range. So that would be a potential weakness. My general answer for everyone is you should do the things that you want to do. Well, yes, understanding that you need to be a physician, you want to be a physician, that's your goal in this life. all of that stuff. So, all right. Dr. Gray, this is a continuation of a discussion from your last live. If Canadian students are considered international and it is harder for us, are American? Are we considered American if we have a green card? Yeah. Yep. You're a resident if you have a green card. You are a resident, not based on citizenship. It's based on residency status. And that green card gives you the residency. If you spent, here's our yeller. If you spent more than 4 years obtaining your bachelor's degree in pre-med, what is the best option to finish in time? Define in time. There's no time limit here. There's no perfect timeline here. Do what you need to do to finish. How do you recommend tying in academic experiences, being a TA, and research to the why medicine factor? You don't. I don't think you do. There are some people who will tie in that they want to be physicians because of the teaching aspect. And I don't think you should. And it's a personal statement. It's your essay. So do what you want. But I don't think research belongs in a personal statement. I don't think being a TA belongs in a personal statement. For me, again, you can go check out my book or whatever, the Premed Playbook Guide to the Medical School Personal Statement. That's me at the bottom. It's how were you exposed to healthcare that made you realize it was this whole thing that you could do out there? And how did you go and test that water, test the hypothesis that this is what you wanted to do? So all of those things matter. All right. Question over here from Instagram. Son is only on one wait list. Is it time, or is there a specific time frame to send a letter of intent? I would send a letter of intent sooner rather than later, assuming that the medical school accepts the letter of intent. Do they accept any sort of letters? So you just have to make sure about that. All right. I got 3 interviews at top 20/30 schools, but none from the schools whose median stats I am well above. Any idea why this would be? Yeah, because that's not how admissions works. And I scream it from the rooftops every single day that it's so much more than just your stats. But everyone just wants to think it's just stats. At the end of the day, the medical schools are trying to figure out who is going to be a good fit for them at their school and who is most likely to come to their school. So when students who have super high stats are applying to schools where the median GPA, median MCAT score are well below, as you say, right, that you're well above, that school is wondering, why are you applying to us? Is there something in your activity list? Is there something in your essays that point to the fact that you actually want to come to our school? Or are you just applying to our school because your stats are well above and you're using us as a safety school? Right? The whole reach, safety, target, that doesn't exist in medical school admissions. That's an undergrad thing. And I don't even think it's an undergrad thing, but that's what undergrad admissions is built off of, right? Every medical school is reach. Every medical school is hard to get into. And so the schools that you thought you had a chance at just because your stats were, quote, well above, those schools probably were like, you're not a good fit for our school. Just because you have high stats doesn't mean you're a good fit for our school. And I think it's really hard to convince you all, and I'm kind of done trying to convince you all, but I'll keep talking about it, that schools are often, not always, often looking for that mission fit. They're not just looking for who has the highest stats. That's all we want. They're looking for the students who want to come to their school for a couple reasons. It makes their job easier. If you as an admissions committee could interview for 100 seats, 400 people, accept 200 students, and get 100 students to fill your class, that's better than interviewing 600 people and accepting 300 people to fill that class of 100 seats. It's easier for them to do the hard work to figure out who actually wants to come to our school, right? And that has a name. We call it yield protection. You guys go online and you're like, "Oh my gosh, I found out about this thing called yield protection. Is that a thing? Am I going to be screened out because I'm too good?" No, you're going to be screened out because you're not a good fit. So, I speak on behalf of all Canadian pre-meds who want to get into U.S. schools. Maybe Trump take over Canada. Won't be so bad as long as we get into U.S. med schools. I was just thinking, like, if we got Greenland, think of how many new med schools we can open up. Oh, man. It's funny, but it's not. Hi, Dr. Ray. Important question. Are you going to watch the World Cup this summer? Yeah, I'm a big footy fan. No, I'm really not. I enjoy peak competition. I enjoy peak performance in whatever that might be. I'll get sucked into watching billiards on TV or darts or yes, soccer, rugby, any sport, race car driving. I love watching peak athletes perform and just watching how all of their hard work is peaking at the right time to do this thing. And especially with football being an amazing team sport and understanding it more and more as I get older, and being able to watch and see the moves. So yeah, I will be watching. And most importantly, the FIFA Peace Prize. I was just blown away by the generosity of that. So yeah. All right. I used to work at University of Oklahoma Medical in Oklahoma City at the hospital, and most of the students that I saw there were foreign nationals, I'm assuming you mean. Okay. Good answer. I started using Map to put all the info I have. I have a free account now. Would the account expire and wipe out everything at some point? Nope. Free there. It is free. Cycle is not over. Definitely not. Hello, Michelle. How you doing? Thoughts on the new DO school, UNC Com, Illinois Com, the Valley Com, etc. Differences between them, or all the same risks due to being new? There really are no risks to being new. I wouldn't worry about a new school. Those schools have been in the process of getting their accreditation for years and years and years. And the DO schools, it's confusing. So in the MD world, we call a new school, they have a preliminary accreditation. In the DO world, I think they need to change their name. And actually, I'm going to send a note to my friend who's over at the DO world. In the DO world, they call it pre-accreditation. Pre-accreditation is very confusing. They're like, "Oh, they're not accredited yet." I'm like, "No, they are. They're pre-accredited." So it's super confusing. They have an accreditation status. It's just not fully accredited. So, yeah, don't worry about that. All right. Keep those questions coming. So interesting, Ari, how schools think and yield protection. Thank you for sharing. Helps so much. Yeah, you're welcome. It's at the end of the day, it comes down to a lot of effort and work on the student's part to understand why you're building your school list the way that you're building your school list. You add a school to your list, you have to understand, why am I adding this school to the list? Am I adding it just because I think my stats are well within range or well above, or I'm competitive at that school? Or are you adding it because you've done your research, right? Which is a bad word these days. You've done your research and you're like, you know what? This school has this sort of outreach program with the community that's actually very similar to what I've been doing in undergrad. They have this sort of research going on right across the street at the medical school. That's kind of like the research I've been doing or the research I'm interested in because of XYZ. It's doing the homework about who you are. Right. I gave a workshop the other day that is live soon, or I don't know when it'll be on YouTube, about how competitive applicants prepare. And the first step to being a competitive applicant is knowing who you are. So you have to know, like, what do I want out of a school? And nobody asks themselves that question. All they think about is which school will take me. That's not the right way to go about this process. One of my interviewers told me I should consider not coming to their school if I want to pursue academic medicine. What is your opinion on how much school choice matters for academic versus normal? I don't believe in that kind of stuff. Um, at the end of the day, you can go to any medical school and go into academic medicine. Now, are you exposed to a ton of amazing teaching hospitals during your time at that medical school? Maybe not. But guess what? Your job in medical school is not to learn how to be an academic physician. Your job in medical school is to learn how to be a physician and try to figure out what type of physician, AKA what specialty you want to pursue. And then when you're picking your residencies, to me, that's where you start to go into, is this more of a community-based residency where there's, again, not a huge emphasis on being an academic medical center? Or am I going to add all the big academic medical centers to my list? And that's where I will learn to be an academic physician. So I think it's more related to the residency. Um, and here's the interesting thing, right? In the follow-up, it confused me because the school is attached to a major academic medical center. This one person may think that that academic medical center just isn't up to snuff, right? Here's where you have to take everything you hear with a grain of salt, including what comes out of my mouth, right? What do I know? You guys don't. You guys don't know me. I don't know anything, right? Um, this one person, maybe, and it would be interesting to know, Frosty. I mean, you're anonymous. You can throw the school name out there, right? Maybe this is a state school, right? This is a state school, and the person that's interviewing you, and Frosty, this will be it was Vanderbilt. Interesting. So Vanderbilt, very interesting. I would love to know, Frosty, where was your interviewer from? Number one, were they a physician? Um, if they were a physician, where did they train? They may have some bias, either that Vanderbilt is not good enough compared to where they trained, or they have some bias that Vanderbilt is too snooty compared to where they trained, right? Maybe they trained at a state school and they're like, oh, rough and tumble. I trained in the inner city, and that's where you learn how to be a good academic physician. And they're like, oh, Vanderbilt's too hoity-toity for being an academic physician. So everyone is coming with their own personal bias. So all you have to do in those situations, when you hear someone say, oh, you don't want to come here if you want to be an academic physician, is you go, thank you. That's it. Thank you for that advice. And then you think about it, right? Understand, like, why did you say that? Or follow up with that question. It's interesting you say that, right? Vanderbilt, I think, among the general population would be considered a prestigious academic medical center. So I'm interested to hear why you said, don't come here if I wanted to pursue academic medicine. and let them explain it. They may go, you know what? Everyone who comes here wants to pursue academic medicine, so it's super cutthroat and people are just miserable. Maybe that's the answer. And you go, okay, great. That's a good perspective. Oh man. What's a good number to apply to? Low stat applicant applied to 16 this year. Feels small compared to what we see on Reddit. She only applied where she would actually want to go. I think that's the first step, right? Only apply to where you would actually want to go. I would want to know what defines low stat applicant. But at the end of the day, if you just look at the averages, right? The average right now is 19 schools. So, yeah. I think the average is skewed though, because there are students who are applying to 40, 50 something schools. I'm trying to remember. I think the most I've ever seen is in the 60s. Have you guys heard of anything more? I'm not even going to ask heard because we can hear anything. I actually like to see the application. Hello, Dr. Gray. I'm currently choosing between 26 credits of a do-it-yourself post-bac and a formal one. My GPA trend, 2.7, 2.4, 3.4, 3.8 per year. Is there an upward trend in your opinion? Overall, 3.34 science. Yeah, that's definitely an upward trend. I need to see a little bit more. So the 3.4, 3.8, first off, are those total GPA, like science and non-science? Or is that just science? If it's just science, and even if it's not just science, but if it's just science, how many credits of that is that per trend or per year? For example, right? We'll get students that are like, I have an upward trend, and you see the science. Let's assume these are science numbers: 2.7 science, 2.4 science, 3.4 science, 3.8 science. Those are all science. But the first 2 years, it's 15 or 20 credits. In the last 2 years, it's 6 credits and 8 credits. So while the GPA itself looks great, when you actually peel it back a little bit and look behind, right? I always talk about what's the story behind the numbers. I'm like, let me see what's going on here. It's this this image here. This is exactly. Let me see. Hold on one second. I'm gonna pull up an image that I think is the epitome of what I'm trying to talk about. Um, oh man, where is it? Here. So there's this meme. I'm gonna share my screen here. Um, there's this meme of Homer Simpson from the front looking all svelte, right? It's like, oh yeah, I'm super sexy. But from behind, he's all taped up and he's got all his fat pulled back, right? That's what happens when students are like, oh, look, I have a 3.8, 3.8 my junior, senior year. But when you actually look behind the numbers, it's like, oh, it's one class. So that just doesn't work well. So mostly science, that's great. I would want to know again how many credits it is. There is a trend there, assuming mostly science and a good amount of credits each year. All right. I'm working part-time and full-time course load in history major. I did several supplementary prereqs at an accredited online college. Is this okay? Got 3 A minuses, A, and 1 B plus. Should I repeat in class? I want to know what supplementary prereqs are. What do you mean by that, future dog? Idea for a med student applicant during an interview. So sorry for so many questions. No worries. Coming from a sales background, we always ask at the end of an interview, is there any concerns you have in moving me forward in the process? Is this a bad idea for the interviewer? So it's interesting. So a little about me, a little my story. right? I love the sales process. I was in Maui once, and we were in Lahaina, I think that the town that unfortunately burned a couple years ago. Um, and we were walking down the street and got pulled into an art gallery. I was there with my wife, and we got pulled into an art gallery. Or we were walking around the art gallery, and there was a piece of art that caught our attention, and we really liked it. And the sales the sales guy pulled it off the wall, put us into a private room, got us like a glass of champagne, put the art on an easel in front of us, and then was trying to sell us. And it was like 10 grand for this piece of art. And we're like, we have med student loans. Like, what are you doing? and and the guy goes, your loans will always be there, but this art, and he was selling us. My wife was completely like just uncomfortable with the sales process. I love the sales process. So I was very interested to see like what's the next thing he's going to try? What's the next angle? What's the next piece of conversation? And so when I go through a sales process with someone, um I am really good at picking apart like good question, good sales tactic there. I personally hate that question for the sales process. Do you have any concerns in moving me forward in this process? To me, it's number one, super predictable. Number two, it's super forced. Number three, it puts the interviewer in the most awkward spot. What are they gonna say? No, yes, whatever. If they're in the sales world and they're hiring salespeople, that's your opportunity as a salesperson to try to overcome objections. So if I'm interviewing you, I don't want to keep the conversation going. If I say something, you're just going to get into your sales spiel and talk about overcoming that objection. So I don't want you to do that, and I don't want the conversation to keep going. But anyway, that's just fun sales stuff. I love sales. I sold Cutco knives in college. I did like the stereotypical college job of selling knives, which I still have my kit upstairs that we use to sell the knives. I got trophies from it. I was pretty good at it. But no, don't ask that in an interview. Long story short, is 12 credits a semester fine at a post-bac? Yeah, that's full time. Again, retaking a strong score, 514, but my first attempt was pretty ill-prepared, potentially remedy a below average BCPM 355. I understand stats aren't everything, but could it could it meaningfully help? Could it meaningfully help? Potentially. A higher MCAT score always helps. I don't like to think about the MCAT helping a lower GPA. I think a 355 GPA is okay. What is the story behind the 355? What is the trend there? I would want to know. So yeah, what's going on there? Oh man, I hope none of you got this like super flu that went around. I got it mid-December, and I'm still battling the effects of it. So yeah. The one I'll put this question back up. The one concern that I would have with retaking a 514 is that the data is not very friendly to show that students who score high and retake the test do much better. It's not very good data. Dr. Gray, if you could, which crime would you remove from the world? Oh man, which crime would I remove from the world? I love this question. It's good. I want to hear from you all. What crime do you think? I have a crime that popped into my head. I want to know, and I'll tell you mine in a minute. I want to know from you all. What crime would you remove from the world? Do I know when Casper will open its testing dates? You know what? I'm friends with the Casper people. I've texted them multiple times. They said they were going to have their dates ready at the beginning of January. They do not. So I just don't know. I'm going to take a screenshot of this and send it to my friend over there who's the co-creator of Casper. I do know that the first date is March 19th. Let me just pull up the text message with her. Let me confirm that. March 19th. Yes. Let me see. Take Casper. Let me just double check and make sure it's not on there and you guys just aren't seeing it. Country, United States, 26, 27, allopathic, osteopathic. Yeah, they don't have the dates up. It's so crazy. Oh. Yeah, they have all the dates. You can register for it now. You can register for it now. So if you look, here on their website, you have to go through you have to select whatever country you're in, language, the application cycle, make sure it's 26, 27, select all the medicine programs, MD and DO, and then select all the schools. And then you'll see the dates that are for each of the schools, which I don't know why they do it this way. It's weird. But you can see like this school, Central Michigan University, they accept all the way through February 2027, actually February here 23rd, whereas TCU only accepts through December 16th. Or no, that's the distribution deadline, the test dates. So like last day November. I don't know why they do it this way. It's so crazy. But yeah, they're there. Good job. Hey, Dr. Gray, any advice on whether DO programs are better for students interested in pursuing PM&R? I'm heavily considering DO due to the fact that I would like to go into sports med. You know what, Jacob, that was my philosophy as well back in the day. It was like, hey, I want to take care of athletes. I wanted to be an orthopedic surgeon, so it had that surgical aspect to it. When I applied to residencies a long time ago, there was more of a kind of a bias towards DOs that we are lessening now. I don't think it's a bad idea. Ultimately, I don't think the curriculum is different enough to say, oh, you should go into PM&R, or you should go into a DO school for PM&R. I think at the end of the day, medical school is medical school, DO or MD. I know that my DO friends, I'm potentially going to talk to some DO deans soon. I was invited to speak to them. And they're not going to like hearing this from me. I don't think there's anything that separates them at this point. Yeah, OMM. How many DO physicians actually practice OMM out in practice? Not a lot. And I'm super biased towards OMM because I believe in the power of soft tissue manipulation, right? And so here's an example. Hold on. I can't really bend down because I have my headphones on. So, for example, do you guys know what this thing is? So this is a Theracane, actually based here in Denver. And it's a massage device. So I'm constantly with this thing, like massaging myself because I believe in soft tissue manipulation. And so, yeah, I'm a huge fan of what potentially putting hands on people and understanding the tissues and fascia and all that stuff. I think it's great. And I think you can learn that outside of going to a DO program. So I'm not saying don't go to a DO program. I'm saying I don't think you should just consider DO programs for that reason. I think at the end of the day, you need to pick the schools where you feel you will thrive at. Pick schools based on locations you want to be. Find the DO programs, find the MD programs in those areas, and see if those are good fits for you. Future dog, I chatted you what I meant by supplementary is above. Let's see, future dog. That means I did extra courses in addition to my full course load in history, online science, prereqs, physics, bio, and chem. Yeah, so that's what I wanted to make sure. So I wouldn't call them supplementary prereqs. You did your prereqs online, and that could be a problem. Just depends on it depends on the medical school. So you have to go to each medical school and see if they accept online prereqs and go from there. Not every school accepts online prereqs. And the fact potentially if those labs were online as well, that will be a bigger problem typically. I'd choose war crimes. Good question. Good answer. I would choose trigger warning, sexual assault. That's what I would choose. That's what I would choose. Let's see. 68W reservist 375 515 2 years gene lab internship shadow hospital volunteer biology research team captain high school tennis champion vastly mostly player or varsity main player California 4 letters eligible to apply. What does eligible to apply mean? Everyone is eligible to apply. Are you asking if you're competitive? I mean 375 515 stats are competitive. Nobody cares about your high school tennis champion. That doesn't matter. I'm not taking that away from you, but for your med school applications, that doesn't matter. I don't see anything big in here about clinical experience. What are you doing for clinical experience, direct patient interactions? When's the last time you shadowed? There's just so much more to understanding your readiness. Don't forget, friends, we have readinessreportcard.com. If you go there, share my screen one more time. So readinessreportcard.com, go here and go through these questions and answer the question. So 515, 375, or let's say how many attempts, no subsections, less than 124, cumulative 3.75. So go through this process, and at the end, we'll email you a report card to let you know kind of where we think you're at. All right, friends, I got to run. Yeah, I'm here almost every Friday. It's been hit or miss lately just with travel and holidays and everything, but almost every Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern, I start my Friday with you all. So have a wonderful day. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.